So OpenAI released a new model called, I think it's called O1 or Strawberry. And I've been playing around with it. It's available now in ChatGPT Teams. So it's a little limited. You can't upload files to it, but you can prompt it with text. And it's built on the same model as GPT-4o, which is the previous model. But what it does that is really interesting is that it introduces chain of thought prompting automatically. So the old model, if you needed it to do something complex, you had to break down your prompts into small ones and do one prompt, get a response, do one prompt, get a response, do one prompt, get a response. And that's actually like the tool that I built to help us at Earmark doing CP courses. Well, this new model has built-in chain of thought. So it will look at your prompt and then come up with a series of prompts and prompt itself. So you don't have to come up with the chain. You don't have to do that work. And apparently, just that alone makes it way smarter than the previous model. And this has been quantified by researchers who put these models through IQ tests. And I want to share on the screen here for you this chart. So
Well, you're bringing that up. I've used it once, and there's just some like a smoothness or a polish in the results you get that you didn't get from the previous generative tools that were out there. They're just, you can't really put your finger on it. It just feels smoother or more polished. And I don't know, it's very subjective, but you can sense that there's something different.
It's because it's reviewing its own work and correcting itself. So just like you might write a paragraph email and then look at it and edit it and clean it up before you send it, that's what this model is capable of doing. Whereas previously, it would just generate the first draft. And then you'd have to prompt it to clean it up and tell it exactly what to do, right? This model can figure out how to get to the end result that you want through a series of steps. That's the best way I can explain it. And so the result is shocking. This is a chart of IQ test results of different AI models.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah, it's by trackingai.org. And so IQ is a bell curve. And the average IQ is supposedly 100. So if you give an IQ test to, 100 people, 80 of them will get like close to 100 within like one standard deviation, I think. Actually, don't quote me on that, but so a bell curve is.
We have a rule: no math on the show. Yeah. Definitely no statistics on the show.
Don't explain statistics, right? So basically, like the most people are at 100, and then as you go down the bell curve, you get up to like the geniuses, and there's so few of those, right? Like above 140 IQ, like hardly anybody gets that, right? And same thing on the other end, right? It slopes down. You get to like 60 IQ, and hardly anybody has that low in IQ, right? That would probably be considered like, difficult to hold a job, right? So most of the models on this chart, you see they're on the left-hand side before 100. They're like going up the slope. O1 has an IQ of 120. That's way smarter than the average person. Well, not way smarter, but it's pretty darn smart. And that's why you've seen guys like Jason Statz posting on Twitter and on LinkedIn about how they've, he gave bookkeeping tasks and financial analysis tasks to GPT-01, and it's doing a really good job. And I've been playing around with this. It's doing a really good job, like better than an average person, above average. And that is stage 2 of AI development. Like there's, I think, 5 stages that have been defined for AI, and we are already at stage 2 with ChatGPT-01, where it can perform individual tasks better than your average human, such as answering, questions on a test.
So the average it's not perfect, right? I just did some quick research, but the average Jeopardy contestant is 115.
Yeah,
if you want to think about this bell curve, where people are landing.
01 is 121. And ChatGPT-4, let's see, where is GPT-4 Omni is 91. So that's the previous model. And Sonnet, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is 91. So the models that we've all been using, if you've signed up for these apps, are like 91 intelligence, which is why you have to like multi-step prompt it. But with O1, you don't have to do that as much. So I cannot wait for this to become available via the API to us, because we're just going to like go crazy with it. Like, people are already using GPT-4o for financial statement analysis, variance analysis. And I can't even imagine how good it's going to be with O1.
Yeah. I saw Microsoft, I mean, a little bit is self-bragging about Copilot, but they're about their internal teams. So their finance department, which is about 5,000 people, are the biggest users of Copilot kind of at Microsoft. And the biggest top use case is reconciling data in Excel. Right? But you're right. Like, as more and more of this rolls out, it's just more of us using it and getting those benefits.
So, the question is, of course, well, is this going to eliminate accounting and accountants? And I mean, it's hard to predict far into the future when we get stage 3, 4, 5 AIs, but this model is going to be way more expensive when it's released through the API than GPT-4o. It's like 3 times as expensive, something like $15 per million tokens. So it's not cheap. And I was listening to Elon Musk on Lex Friedman's podcast. He was saying that the biggest constraint with AI is going to be energy production and storage, because it takes so much electricity. It's very inefficient still. And so it's going to be cost that's the constraint on running these things. So unless we somehow magically figure out how to like double or triple our energy capacity in the next few years, it's more likely we will be using these tools for very discrete tasks. So like I've always said, AI agents that handle accounts payable or accounts receivable. These are the jobs that we struggle to fill right now, is these sort of like basic day-to-day bookkeeping, accounting jobs, running payroll, updating HR systems. Like, these are going to be agents that have access into our ERP systems, our accounting systems, and can go and like do that work for us and report back to us, and we review it and approve it. So it's going to actually be very familiar to the big 4 people here in the US who are used to working with offshore teams, because that's basically what they're doing anyway. And maybe it'll be more reliable.